Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Satsang. It's lovely to be here with you. I hope you're all doing well. Sylvie, do you feel like reading your invocation? You don't have to if you want to be, if you prefer to be still. But I believe.
I can read.
Yeah. Okay.
Invocation.
Thank you. Well,
I would like to read the first and last verse of the text called Self-Enquiry from the collected works. And the first verse is written by Ramana, and the last one looks like it's written by a devotee, maybe the translator, I'm not sure. The first verse is invocation. Is there any way of adoring the Supreme, which is all, except by abiding firmly as that? And the last verse is obeisance. May the feet of Ramana, the Master, who is the great Shiva himself, and is also in human form, flourish forever.
thank you, Sylvie. Thank you. Would you be able to read them both again for us, please?
Of course. Is there any way of adoring the Supreme, which is all, except by abiding firmly as that? May the feet of Ramana, the Master, who is the great Shiva himself, and is also in human form, flourish forever.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvie. Beautiful verses. Absolutely beautiful verses. Thank you for choosing them. Thank you for reading them to us. Sylvie, do you have any questions for me about these verses at all?
No, I just like them. I thought it was simple, but very powerful.
And you know the first verse is a question.
But no question mark.
Was there not a question mark?
No, not in the text.
Ah.
I don't know. Yeah. It is worded as question.
It's a question, yeah.
But it's an exclamation mark in the end.
Oh, I see. Well, I've got to write to the editor now and get them to change their punctuation now. Because it's a rhetorical question, isn't it? And Bhagavan often does this in his works. He'll write a question with the answer implied. Is there any way, or is there any other way to adore the Supreme, that is all, except by abiding as that? And the answer is no, there is no other way. Right? But the answer is not stated. Occasionally you'll see an answer stated. It's just to make sure that no one's misunderstanding the teaching. It's an interesting way of phrasing a teaching, don't you think? Normally it's much more like finger pointy, you know. The only way to adore the Supreme is to do this, do that, abide as that. This is slightly different, isn't it? Is there any other way? So it's for you to find out. There's a direct teaching there, of course, because the question is a statement, really. But it's also worded as a question. So, you know. We see the same teaching given in Ulladu, Narpadu, 40 verses on reality. The first invocatory verse. Let me find it. Be back shortly. So here's the invocatory verse for Ulladu, Narpadu, 40 verses on reality. There are two invocatory verses. This is the first of them. First one. Unless reality exists, can thought of it arise? So there's a question. Again, unless reality exists, can thought of it arise? The idea here is the fact that you are thinking implies that there's a reality here, there's something here, right? If you're thinking about reality, then there's something here. Whatever that something is, we can call it reality. Unless reality exists, can thought of it arise? Actually, if we get into the actual teachings of Bhagavan, we'd say because consciousness exists, just let Erica in. Unless consciousness or your own self exists, which is the reality, then how can there be thought without your own self existing first? So you could think of it that way as well. And we've got another question, which is the second sentence of the first invocatory verse. Since, devoid of thought, reality exists within as heart, how to know the reality we term the heart? Since, devoid of thought, reality exists within as heart, how to know the reality we term the heart? Since, devoid of thought, reality exists within. You can see here, he's saying, reality exists, devoid of thought, no thoughts. And for those of us who are familiar with Bhagavan's teachings, will know that when Bhagavan says no thoughts, he doesn't just mean what we ordinarily think of as thoughts, cognitions, concepts, ideas, the voice in the head. He's not just talking about that. He's talking about all arising phenomena. These are the thoughts. Since devoid of thought, reality exists within, as heart, as essence. How to know the reality we term the heart. So here he's making it very clear. When he says the heart, he just means the reality. What is the reality? It's what you are. It's the only thing there is. How to know the reality? We term the heart. Then he answers it in the third and last sentence of this imprecatory verse. To know that is merely to be that in the heart. So there's repetition here. There's to know that. And the translator here is capitalized, the T for that. To know that is merely to be that in the heart. So the word that is capitalized both times, and the word heart is also capitalized. The heart and that and the reality are the same. They're synonyms. These words are being used synonymously to mean the same thing. To know that is merely to be that in that, in the heart. I've just replaced the word heart with that again, because they're all synonyms, aren't they? Let's try this. Let's change all the times that reality and heart are mentioned in the verse. Let's change it to that and see what happens. So unless reality exists, I'm going to change it. Unless that exists, can thought of it arise? Since devoid of thought, that exists within as that. How to know that we term that. To know that is merely to be that, in that. Unless that exists, can thought of it arise? Since, devoid of thought, that exists within as that. How to know that? Since devoid of thought, that exists within as that. How to know that? To know that is merely to be that. In that. A synonym means refers to two or more words. If they're synonymous, that mean the same thing. So they're interchangeable, right? I don't know if that helped, if that hindered, but hey, there we go. Remember, the two invocatory verses of Ulladu Narpadu summarize the entire teaching. The first verse has given us the path of inquiry. What is the path of inquiry? It's to be what you are. It's to know what you are. Self-knowledge. How to know what you are? How to know the reality we term the heart? To know that is merely to be that in the heart. To know that is just to be that. So all we have to do is be that. What is that? It is that which we are, right? It is that which we are. And Bhagavan gives us a clue. It's devoid of thought. It's within. It's devoid of thought. Does he not say it's devoid of thought? Yes, he does. Let's go back to the verse Sylvie read for us, the invocatory verse of the text Self-Enquiry, which is the first text in the collected works. Is there any way of adoring the Supreme, which is all, except by abiding firmly as that? Let me flip to the last verse that Sylvie read to us. May the feet of Ramana, the Master, who is the great Shiva himself, and is also in human form, flourish forever. May the feet of Ramana, the Master, who is the great Shiva himself, and is also in human form, flourish forever. So we can see that there can be all these complicated techniques given to us for self-inquiry. It can get very theoretical, but Bhagavan has told us it's just to be what you are without thoughts. So it's just to be without the I or the ego rising up and saying, this and that, and chattering away. The chattering is the thinking. But don't forget, when Bhagavan says thoughts, and we know this if we've read Who Am I, he explains to you what thoughts are. He says the entire world and all the objects in it are thoughts. They're all mind. It's like a dream. Thoughts, we can, maybe a better translation would be modulations of consciousness, vibrations in consciousness. This is the thoughts. They're vibrations or changes or modulations in consciousness, the waves that vibrate and make forms appear to us, objects, subtle objects, gross objects appear to us, the vibrations of consciousness, the objects that appear to us in consciousness, these forms that seemingly arise. These are the thoughts. They are all Maya, they are all illusion. And as long as we take them to be real, we are caught up in Maya, in her clutches. And as soon as we quiet the mind and come back to what we are is Shiva, Bhagavan, who is Shiva. Shiva means the Lord of all creation, the highest truth. That